Hello, my name is RJ Sinining, and welcome to our presentation, which is called Internstellar and is about our 2021 capstone project. Along with me in this presentation are Maya Fuller, Rob Camp, and Tommy Haddock.
So to start off with, we're going to give some background information of our project. So the purpose of Internstellar was to create a historical internship website for the Center for Career and Professional Development, who we'll refer to as the CCPD later on. The motivation was basically the fact that Dana had to constantly look up internships for students, specifically about their major, city, etc. And it was just kind of a hassle for her. So she kind of wanted an easy way that all students could view internships that have been done in the past. So we're going to go over the ways that we've accomplished this later on, but it came from planning, patience, and communication throughout our group, and Dana and IT.
After finalizing our team, the first step towards completing our project was requirement gathering. We decided on a weekly meeting schedule and methods of communication, designated specific people to communicate with Dana and IT, discussed potential development models, and talked about the software we would use to develop our website. We brainstormed some ideas for possible features to include, though ultimately we scaled things back after our first meeting with Dana. Dana specified that the site should be as simple as possible, should contain a searchable data table displaying the necessary amount of internship information, and that it should be secured behind the SU firewall, something that we would need to consult with the IT department about. Our subsequent meeting with IT revealed that in order to have our website behind the SU firewall, it would need to be created using the content management system used by the school, LiveWhale. Finding out that we would now be using LiveWhale to create our project drastically changed our course of action. Instead of creating a website, we would now be creating a single web page that would be accessed via the SU website. Due to the nature of LiveWhale, many high-level and low-level design choices were already made for us, simplifying our job to an extent. For example, we would no longer need to create an interface with an SQL database that stores internship information. One thing that had been important to our group during our early meetings was the need for security and confidentiality, and LiveWhale provided us with an easy way to ensure that adequate security would be provided. Additionally, with the ACM Code of Ethics in mind, we decided that no student names would be displayed next to their associated internships. Any remaining low-level design choices we had to make, we decided on as a group as we went along and became more familiar with the LiveWhale system and the resources we had at our disposal.
So something that's a little unique about our project is that we got to use a content management system as opposed to having to find a database, find a kind of React app that we would like to use. So what a content management system is. So a content management system, a CMS, as one would say, is a software application that enables users to create, edit, collaborate on, publish, and store digital content. So basically what this means is that a content management system will provide a user interface where you don't actually have to write the code from scratch. So we were able to use LiveWhale in the sense that we didn't have to write our code directly from scratch. So a CMS has two components. It has the content management application and the content delivery application. The CDA is basically the back end of the content management system, where it kind of does the behind the scenes work of what we do in the CMA, where we are designing the website without having the knowledge of the HTML and the back end stuff. And so basically what it's doing is it's taking care of all of that nitty-gritty stuff for us. So there are a lot of reasons why Southwestern would want a content management system, because one, it's really easy to use because of the graphical interface. So you don't even actually need to have a lot of tech savviness to you in order to be able to use it. And it's easy to manage the content because it obviously the software itself will update, and you can update your information as well and have like different templates and that kind of thing. You can also allow different users within it, like kind of like us, as you'll see later. We did not get access to the entire thing, but we did get access to enough to where we were able to make our own website. And it's also very easy to update. So we are the first group in capstone history to use the content management system that Southwestern uses. So we are kind of unique in that sense, and we kind of had to figure a lot of things out. And they were a lot of help to us, and we'll get more into detail as we go throughout the presentation what LiveWhale did and how we used it.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Rob Camp, and now that you've learned a little bit about content management systems, I'm going to tell you some about LiveWhale. LiveWhale is a unique CMS platform designed to help colleges and universities communicate better with unparalleled ease of use and community content sharing. That is the description of LiveWhale off their website. And I will say that it was really easy to use, and the community content sharing became a key part of our project. Some of the features that we found useful right away inside of LiveWhale were the user roles and permissions. Ed Hillis, the webmaster at Southwestern, was able to use roles and permissions to help provide us with a place on the development server to work on our page while still maintaining the correct privileges for us as novice users of LiveWhale. What that means is that we were still able to explore the system and the functionality and use a lot of the tools inside LiveWhale, but if we made it to a part of the system that could cause serious damage or alter something that we couldn't fix, we were for the most part locked out of it, which was a good thing. And so the next thing we found useful was the one-click editing procedures that became second nature once we started visually editing the page. Once we were able to put the content that we wanted on the page, editing it visually became really easy. With menus, we were able to insert pictures and choose from different types of animated shows to include on our page. And the last thing I want to talk about here is the automatic style management. So what this means is that Southwestern has a style that they wish to keep across their website. And so the automatic style management makes it so that when we created our page, it automatically was formatted to look like any other page or some other pages that you might see on the SU website. And we thought this was particularly handy because it helped us to not make simple errors that we would have to come back later and change. Now I'm going to go over 2 more features that we found key to implementing our project inside of LiveWhale. And those are profiles and widgets. Will Price from IT directed us towards using profiles as a way to store information about objects or items, in this case, internships. And Ed Hillis, again the webmaster at Southwestern, directed us towards possible widgets that we could use to help manipulate that data appropriately.
So now we'll be going into our development and testing phase, which really included all of the LiveWhale stuff that Rob was talking about before. When we first logged into LiveWhale, we actually didn't really know where anything was, so most of our first challenges were just trying to figure out where the widgets that Ed talked about were, how to set up profiles, where to even find our page in the first place. But all this navigation stuff will be shown in a different slide that I will demonstrate later on. So LiveWhale system uses profiles to store historical information, or at least in this case for us, that's what it did. So we took profiles, and basically with these profiles you can set different fields, such as, for our project it was majors, site information, instructor name. Basically all the information that you see on our website in the table, all those columns, are all the different fields that each profile has. And the nice thing with LiveWhale is that you can set these fields to either be required or not required, and whether or not they can have distinct values or like set values, or basically they can have any value whatsoever. So in our case, to make things easier for Dana, we actually didn't have any of those fields be required because there is the possibility of blanks, and we also didn't require any sort of specific information in any place whatsoever, just to allow her some flexibility, just to make sure that the CS file she uploads with the pertinent information actually does go through. Now, once we have set up these profiles, we had to start learning about how to use the widgets to actually format this information onto our web page. We took an example from Ed that he actually sent us. It was on the Study Abroad program, which again, once we go through the demonstration, you can kind of see the actual formatting of everything, but we kind of use his template for structuring this information in a really nice and neat way. We also used data tables that were from a JavaScript query that actually allowed us to filter through the information, which was a big requirement of Dana because she didn't want to have just a table that a student had to scroll through to find all this information. She wanted you to be able to search through it, to filter through information in a really nice and easy way. And also, while we were going through LiveWhale, because as soon as we had all of the information set up, we were basically done. But then we thought, how can we actually create the design to make it more appealing for students? So we decided to kind of look through all of the different features, and we found this feature called an accordion list, which allowed for us to make a drop-down menu to go to different social media links for the CCPD, for Higher SU, for Pirate Connect, and you can actually see all of these on our website when you go through it. And we thought it was a nice addition because any student that would see these internships and actually be inspired to go find their own internship could actually have an easy way to access all of these amazing services that SU actually offers to go and find yourself your own job. Okay, so this is going to be a live demonstration of just navigating through LiveWhale. I'm not going to go into the specifics, obviously not enough time, but at least we can navigate to where various things are. So first of all, when we log into LiveWhale, we need to go set up these profiles. And this is kind of our thought process as we first went in through here. So of course we select profiles, and we see this option to add and manage profiles. And you can see there's an option at the top right to add a profile type, but we can just look at our already made profile here and see that you can either make a profile for a person or placing a group. Basically, the only things that are required in this one are for placing a group, a title, or if it's person, first, middle, and last name. So then we can go on to the standard profile fields like title, description, contact info. Those will always be in each profile. And then here we can make custom profile fields like semester or major 2. And you have the option to either make them required or not required. So basically when Dana uploads her CSV file, which we can actually see right here, if we navigate to here and select import, if she were to upload a CSV file, then any required fields, she would have to have information in there or else they wouldn't be able to upload. So that's basically it. So once we have these profiles made, we can go to a widget. And basically what these widgets do, this is our internship widget that we're using right now. You can see a preview of the formatting on the screen here, right here. They basically format the information, and you can see here that these profiles correspond to one of these profile fields. Like profiles 398 corresponds to the profile field semester that we created in our Internstellar profile. And without going into too much, these HTML codes that we have right here is basically how we formatted all of the information nicely onto the page, and which we can see actually right here. If you go to pages, go to your pages, go to the page that Ed set up for us, and we go to view or edit page, you can see here it's nicely formatted. And you might think that it looks super complicated when you go to edit page and see how it is in the background, but actually it's very simple. Since the widget itself is already set up, all we have to do is import internship widget test. And it's basically like this. You go click into one of these content boxes, select widget, and we can select one of the widgets we made. So in this case, we selected internship widget test, and when we save and publish, boom, there it is, a nice table we can actually filter through.
So basically this is the Google Sheet that they will be keeping up with. Dana will be updating this, and she will be able to delete and add internships and update as she pleases. So let me explain a little bit about what this means. So there are a few columns that we have that are empty, and that's because they are not necessary to our project, but they are required on LiveWhale to include, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So the first column we have filled is the GID, which is the group ID, and LiveWhale gave us the group ID of 178, so every single field here will have 178 all the way down. Then we have the title, which is the title of the profile, and it will include the place that the internship happened at. And then we go to the profiles underscore 398 through 406, and basically LiveWhale doesn't let you name these columns. It just gives you these arbitrary profiles underscore number. There's not really anything to do about that, so it is kind of obvious what it is by looking at this sheet and then at our user manual while we explain it, so it's not anything that somebody looking at this wouldn't know. So the first one is the semester that it happened, and then the second one is their major. The third one is if they have a second major. Then which course was the internship taken with and who the professor was, because these are all academic internships. And then the city and state and whether it was paid or unpaid. So after developing it over the semester, IT requested that we gave them a 2-week window to deploy the application. Since we use the same content management system that they already used, this was a very comfortable amount of time for them to deploy and put it behind the firewall for us. So they are going to be the long-term maintenance team because they already know how to use LiveWhale, and LiveWhale is used all over Southwestern, so it's pretty easy and they already know what they're doing with it. So the easiest way to maintain this for Dana and IT is to keep a Google Sheet between the two, where Dana will be filling it in 2 to 3 times a year for the semesters fall, spring, and summer, and she will be sending it to IT when she's ready. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to delete all of the information that's currently in the table and re-upload the entire file. And since there are blanks allowed, as long as the CSV file is formatted correctly, it will upload to LiveWhale.
This project taught us some valuable lessons that we will likely carry with us throughout our careers after graduating. The first lesson is that you shouldn't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. Although it may be fun to build something entirely from the ground up, projects have deadlines, and utilizing any available resources is the best way to meet those deadlines. The second is that clear communication between everyone involved in the development process is one of the keys to your project being successful. When everyone is on the same page, your team is able to work like a well-oiled machine, finishing tasks with remarkable efficiency. Lastly, be mentally prepared for the possibility of disaster or forces out of your control to disrupt development. Coupled with the ongoing pandemic, the unprecedented cold front that hit Texas in February halted our group's workflow entirely, with each team member facing a unique set of difficulties as a result. Unfortunately, natural disasters as well as other disasters are part of life, and sometimes the only choice we'll have as industry professionals is to work twice as hard to get everything back on track.
Thank y'all for virtually attending our capstone presentation. We really appreciate everyone that came. And if y'all have any questions, please let us know after the other two.